So I'm here with Stephanie. Stephanie was one of the first, I think you spoke at the first Futures Female, which
I think so.
wasn't even in person. It was during COVID times on Zoom, and it wasn't even called the Futures Female. It was called How to Use Real Estate Like a Boss.
Yep.
We got to glow up over time.
It was great back then, and it's even better now.
And you just launched your own firm.
I did.
And so you've been giving back to my community for a long time, speaking at events and giving them advice. You handle all my clients' estate stuff when they ask. Actually, I should do it before they ask. I should tell them about you. Note. But now that you have this new firm, I wanted to sit down and talk about you. Like, do a spotlight on you and how you got to where you are now and why. I think everybody has a money story. It's part of the reason that I'm becoming a therapist in conjunction with being a mortgage lender, is because we all have these, like, whether we want to admit it or not, we have a relationship with money that's changing and evolving. But I often find people have these pivotal moments. And you were recently telling me that for a long time, like growing up, you wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, which is mind-blowing to me because you're this like kick-ass attorney who has her own firm and just kicks ass and takes names. And I'm like, I can't imagine you as a stay-at-home mom. So you have to tell me, like, how did this play out where there's this massive shift?
So I want to clarify. I don't know that I necessarily wanted to be a stay-at-home mom because that is the hardest job, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I wanted to be a country club wife, which is much different. And in my mind was going to be a lot more fun.
Okay, wait, please outline for me how it's much different. Let's be specific so we know.
I mean, listen, when you're home with your kids, I have 2 kids, like they are a lot of work. And
the country club wife has a nanny.
Not at home with the kids. Like she is at the country club having lunch and playing tennis with her girlfriends.
This is a very important clarification that you've drawn
Drinking
here.
champagne at noon. Like that is what I wanted to do.
Who doesn't want that?
Listen, it's still my life goal. So I don't know that anything's really changed.
It's okay. You got time.
But I did feel I have had some shifts throughout my life. My mom was a single mom. And when you I think of like pivotal money moments, I do have these like core memories surrounding money that I think have really shaped me today. So my mom was a single mom. She's a teacher. She is like an angel on earth and the most wonderful person. And I remember her though, I mean, money was tight, you know, my dad didn't help financially. And I would remember her at the kitchen table with like a yellow notepad, handwriting every month her budget. And just really paying attention to, you know, bills and money. And I look back now and I still am like mind blown at how she did everything she did for us.
How she made it all happen.
But in contrast, my best friend growing up, her dad was an attorney, her mom was a stay-at-home mom, and probably very unfairly, occasionally she would carpool. And I remember one time, I mean, it was probably literally one time, though, she picked us up from school and took us back to the country club because she had to finish her tennis match. And we got to go and order whatever we wanted from the food, you know, court bar thing. And I just, you know, at the time, 8-year-old Stephanie was like, this is awesome. I love to play tennis. I love to eat chicken fingers. This is what I wanted to do with my life. And there's, you know, a lot more to this story, but that was kind of the running joke for a long time. Is like, I want to be a country club wife when I grew up. Then in college, I started selling real estate actually. So in undergrad, so I finished high school, turned 18, and my dad, who was kind of involved in real estate my whole life, as an 18th birthday present, gave me an online real estate course to get my license, you know, and I'm pissed at the time. I'm like, really, all I want is a Tiffany's necklace, like everybody else. I don't want to take this class and have to get a real estate license. Well, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It opened up a ton of doors. I got to be kind of involved in this great team of this kick-ass woman. I mean, she was 25 at the time. Like she was also a child, but she quickly became one of the top real estate agents in Vegas. Taking names, I mean, she was awesome. Learned a ton from them. And this is during the boom in Vegas. So this is, you know, 2004 to 2008.
This gift he gave you turns out to be pretty epic.
Absolutely. And like, I'm killing it, you know, making nearly 6 figures as a 20-year-old kid. Like It was awesome. Going to undergrad, doing all this stuff. 2008 rolls around. I'd been in a relationship for a couple years, pretty serious. I'm getting ready to graduate college and, talking, engagements and getting married, all the things. I mean, I absolutely thought this was my future and the rest of my life. I get a call one day. I will never forget. I'm sitting at my office working, and I get a call, and it's American Express. And they, need to speak to me about my past due account. I'm like, well, I don't have a past due account. What are you talking about? And I did have an American Express card, but I was diligent. I mean, I've always been really good with money. This stems back to my mom and the budget. I mean, I still do that, but on an Excel spreadsheet like a normal person. But I mean, I would pay my card off religiously. So I knew I didn't have a balance. They tell me I have like $100,000 credit card balance. I kid you not. And I'm like losing my mind, right? Like in the moment, like, oh my gosh, panicking. Through the course of this hour-long phone call, I learned that my then boyfriend had actually stolen my identity, taken out a business card in my name, issued a card to himself as an authorized user, and had racked up 6 figures in credit card debt in a period of like months, like not a long time.
Was your ring included in this 100,000?
No, there was no ring. Evidently there were, trips and lots of golf clubs and fancy things and
clubs, ironically.
Yeah, ironically, right? And like as we were dating, we were living this, this Vegas lifestyle, frankly. I thought, both making really good money and doing well and all the things. And it just like my whole life changed in that moment, and obviously for the better. But it was a huge wake-up call and reality check. Long story short, I mean, Amex ultimately said, if you agree to work with us to prosecute him, we'll take all of this out of your name. But imagine, you're 21, 22, and in this moment, this person you thought you were going to be marrying and like spending your life with,
you're now going to help prosecute
instantly
them.
over, and you have to help prosecute them, which of course I did. He ended up pleading guilty to like felony charges. I mean, it was a whole thing. But I remember as part of this process, we had a very longtime family friend who was an attorney. And so we went to meet with this attorney to talk to him about like what I could do. Because there were some, other things. And I had invested some money in a fake business of his. And so like, are there any options to get this money back? I mean, it was a financial nightmare. Luckily, I was young and I could recover from it. But I also remember sitting across from this attorney and him having a very frank conversation with me, which is great. And I have to have those conversations now with clients. And I always keep that in perspective when I'm having those conversations. But all I really remember was how much he charged per hour, how much of a retainer he wanted. And he told me, even if I could afford both of those things, he would never let me hire him because ultimately we could sue him and win, but we'd get nothing but a piece of paper. He didn't have anything. It just wasn't worth it. And I essentially had to walk away. So this is all happening at the same time of, 2008 when the Las Vegas real estate market's totally collapsing.
Right. So you're not going to keep selling real estate.
Obviously, I'm not going to keep selling real estate. Not a ton of options for someone with a business degree at that point either.
When we graduated, the job market was
not good. So that was very pivotal for me, though. I right then and there decided I would never be in a situation where I was dependent on anybody else financially. Even if I did become a country club wife someday, I'd always have my own money, my own career, my own, path if needed, and way to support myself. And that's how I ended up at law school. Truthfully, it was kind of just, I need to do something with my life and buy myself some more time in the hopes the economy generally gets better. And my mom and sister and I were going on a trip to Mexico, and I went to Barnes & Noble. That's when you still went to a bookstore. And I bought the LSAT for Dummies book, and I read it on vacation and came back and said, I'm going to take the LSAT and apply to law school. And thank goodness it all worked out, because that was a really risky investment.
Also, thank goodness you're really smart.
I mean,
because nobody just reads that book and then takes the LSAT and gets accepted into law school. It's not typically that simple.
That's true. I mean, I knew, I guess at the time, it was a realistic thing to consider.
That you were smart enough.
Yeah. I knew I was either that or get an MBA or do something, but I knew I had to go back to school to buy more time. And I knew I had to do something that would give me financial independence for the rest of my life.
I also strongly commend you for choosing a profession where you don't have to take your clients' phone calls on weekends and nights.
Well, I mean, I thought you didn't have to do that until I opened my own firm. And, here we are.
Entrepreneurship.
Owning a business is owning a business, no matter what kind of business it is.
Regardless of industry.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better, actually. So then you go to law school, you meet John, and now fast forward, here we are. Life ends up the way it is.
Yeah.
You guys recently bought a new house.
We did.
I infamously told you when you buy a mansion, you get mansion-sized problems. Don't even remember saying that to you till you repeated it back to me.
Stick in our minds forever.
And
forever.
I will never say it to anyone again. But I'm so happy for you.
But it's so accurate, and you should tell everybody that so they can start planning in their mind accordingly.
I think it was because you guys sent me the insurance policy, and you're like, "Does this look right?" And I was like,
And it was more like I knew it was going to be expensive insurance, and it's an expensive house. For us, it was more of, hey, does this look normal though? You see this stuff on a daily basis. I've never seen an insurance policy for a house like this, and that was your response back, and I was like, I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay.
Guess it looks normal. But this is such an exciting time. Like, you have this beautiful new house. You have your own law firm now. I've always loved sending clients to you because I think that the way you present things to them makes it very like tangible and understandable. And it helps people understand that you don't need to have this lifestyle of the rich and the famous to need to have your affairs in order and to have a trust and to make sure your estate is all buttoned up. This is a two-part question. I'm getting to the second part, but we'll just go in two parts. So one, I really love your approach with clients, and I want you to tell me about it. But then I also want you to tell me about, now that you have your own firm and you have all this autonomy to do the business the way you want to, how do you think you'll change things?
So I think, a couple things. You talk about rich and famous. I mean, those are not my clients. My clients are the everyday people, the teachers, like my mom, the people that have worked their whole lives for a nest egg, their house, a retirement. I mean, they're not gazillionaires, right? They've slow and steady built a really great kind of little nest egg for their family, and they need to protect it. It's the people that we just little by little over the course of 30, 40 years sacrificed and paid off our house. And, that $100 a month that we put into the market over the course of 40 years is now, over $1 million because compounding interest and time in the market and all the things. Those are the people that I work with, that they've worked really hard and they want to protect what they've built and make sure it can really efficiently, easily, cheaply, all the things transfer to their loved ones when the time comes. I mean, we talk about the transfer of wealth that's going on right now and will be in the coming years, and it really is huge. Our parents' generation is just different than our generation.
They're loaded.
Yeah, and I think it's for a variety of reasons. I mean, yes, living, houses were cheaper, everything, all this stuff, but also I just think they lived a different lifestyle where we're constantly just keeping up with the Joneses and spending and all, we have the YOLO mentality of like work hard, play hard, and these trips and all this stuff. I mean, I just think that's shifted.
It's totally different from our parents.
We aren't saving the way our parents did. So it's really about working with people that need this. They need an estate plan. Everybody, if you have a house, if you have minor children, you need a trust. And we can talk about all those reasons why in a free consult, but you need a trust if you are in either of those scenarios. But you don't probably need a $5,000, $10,000 trust. You don't need that. You need a really basic probate avoidance trust to make sure assets can pass and kids are protected. And so I've really built my business. And so in that regard, nothing's going to change. I'm going to offer really great service at reasonable and accessible prices to the everyday person because those are the people that really need it.
Is that because of the conversation the attorney had with you back in the day?
Partly, yeah. I remember sitting there and being like, who in the world can afford this except other attorneys, and they don't need attorneys? I mean, he was at it was a big firm. He'd been practicing for years. I actually don't even remember what the number was other than it was like, now it would probably be the equivalent of like $500-$600 an hour. And I just remember like my jaw hitting the floor. I'm like, you make how much money? That's what I want to do. And so I think, yes, part of that is legal services need to be accessible financially. So, I've always done flat fee pricing for that reason. People want to know, what do I need to do? What's it going to cost? And budget for it, prepare for it, all the things. But I also really want to provide that same like top level service to the people that need it most, the teachers, the nurses, right? The first responders, the people that aren't making $1 million a year, but do the most important jobs in our society.
The people who probably don't think they need a trust.
And those are the people that need the trust.
I coach realtors and lenders all the time, and it takes us forever to figure out who their target audience is. How did you decide that this was who you wanted to help?
I don't know, kind of maybe just trial and error and the people I enjoy working with most. I'm just like a normal person. I grew up normal. Maybe that's just who I feel most comfortable with. I don't know.
I think that's what helps us like choose our ideal client and then succeed in a business, is when we take the time to figure out who it is we feel like have the most fun working with. Like when I choose my target audience, I think of the people who, if they referred all their friends and family to me, I'd be happy. Because we also have the client that we're like, God, if you know anybody like yourself, please never give them my phone number.
Yeah.
Like, don't lose my name, lose my number.
100%.
I'm excited to see what you do with your firm and how it grows and what it ends up becoming, because I think you'll always be balancing, right? This like initial dream of like, I want to work and I want to have my own financial freedom, but I also want to be a country club wife. And
it's still a daily struggle every day.
So that's where I think I kind of want to end our conversation is, how do you see it all playing out with all these different dreams that you pursue now simultaneously? It's okay to be the firm founder and want to be the country club wife. How do you balance it all?
Sometimes better than others. I mean, in this exact moment in time, we are surviving, not thriving. And that's okay. That'll change. And I think it's okay to want different things at the same time. I mean, honestly, just this year alone, it's like we bought this beautiful new house. And no less than a month later, I'm like telling my husband, I just think I need a break and I want to like stop working for a while. His response is like, absolutely not. Get your ass back to work. We just bought this house with mansion-sized bills. And every day I still struggle with, I spent all morning at our kids' second grade Christmas party and I loved it. I'm also the one that every time I've been on maternity leave, I've gone back to work early because I've also realized I love what I do and I love engaging with people. I love helping my clients. I love having a hot cup of coffee at my desk and engaging in adult conversation. I mean, it's okay to want all these things and to pursue all of them at the same time, and to go through cycles. I mean, I do feel like I had, prior to starting this firm, worked really hard on finding the balance, the work-life balance. And work was really important to me, but obviously my kids and my family are really important to me. And I love that side of my life too. And I love being at the party and doing all the things. Right now in this moment, I'm starting a new firm. I have to work a little harder and be back to some of those longer hours to do what needs to be done to make it succeed. But that journey is fun and I enjoy it. And I think as long as you're doing things you enjoy, you will always find the balance at various times and just keep moving forward happily.
That's such good advice. I call it seasons. I think there's seasons of life, and there's going to be a season when you have to go really hard at work or after a goal, and balance is impossible during those times. So then you try to make a conscious effort in the next season to be more present where you were just absent. So I think that's amazing advice. And I'm really grateful that you took the time to sit down during this very busy holiday season.
Well, thank you for having me. Hopefully next time it won't be as busy. I'll look a little more, well-rested, all the things, but
I haven't slept more than 90-minute stretches. So thanks for not trying to show me up.
The dog.